Tamara McLemore doesn't ask for permission. She dreams big and often, and then she turns those dreams into reality. She is the rock star owner of Project Business Academy, where she coaches women to project management professional certification greatness. And I like that. Her company is a Project Management Institute authorized partner, and she insists on not just teaching future PMPs, she educates them to plan more efficiently, execute with authority, and implement projects with ease. How does she do that? Well, she likely relies on her 20 years of IT project management experience for household names like Delta Airlines, Deloitte, and the federal government. She also relies likely on her MBA in global technology management and a master's certificate in project management. She also taught project management at universities and organizations across the globe, including in India and Dubai. Again, she is PMP certification greatness. So if you ever wanted to get your PMP, get to know Tamara and her company, Project Business Academy. Tamara is also a speaker and career and personal development coach who is driven by her personal mission to eliminate the ridiculous wage gap, and it is ridiculous, of Black women earning 67 cents for every dollar paid to a white man. She is also an active 25-year member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, whose "to be a service to all mankind" motto she lives by. I had the chance to get to know Tamara during an author retreat earlier this year, and I remember how friendly and bold and caring and highly accomplished and fun she was. So now we get an opportunity to get to know a little bit more about Tamara, the person. Tamara, welcome to the Age Has No Limit podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, when I met you in Puerto Rico, of course,
Yes.
the island, it
Yes.
was such a pleasure to meet you, and we just gelled together. So I'm super excited to share these gems with your audience.
Yes. Awesome. 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 So we're going to start with the thing that really, really hit me the most. And I think it will also resonate with the audience. Tell me why you think we shouldn't ask for permission for what we want.
I don't even know where to start. Like, why should we?
Mm-hmm.
We just shouldn't. Like, you are your own board of directors. It is you, yourself, and I. That was a song back in the day. And so when you ask other people, I feel like you're asking for permission. You're asking people to vote on it. You're asking their input. And I'm just not. Sometimes I do, I'm not going to say run things by people, but let them know I'm going to do this. But I'm not asking people to vote on if Tamara should do this or not. And I've always been that way. I remember I'm getting my MBA. I traveled a lot. I was in 5 or 6 cities a week. So I want you to yeah, I was a road warrior. Meaning I may be in one city in the morning, another in the evening. This is when we're building out the switches and cell sites. And I remember getting into my MBA program, and I had my laptop and everything, and I had my day when I was starting. My whole family's like, "How you gonna do that? Da-da-da. You're never gonna find a husband." Da-da-da. I was like, "It's already done."
Yeah. Wow. Yep.
Already done. And so I've always been that way. I don't request off. I put it on my calendar. I block it off. Sometimes I let them know I will be out of the office for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So it's going to take over for me, or I'm training people on the slide, but I'm not asking for permission. I've never done that. Ask my mother. I've never, even as a child, she's like, "You do know you have to ask."
Actually, you know what? You're reminding me of some of the stories. So Tamara is an excellent storyteller. And I remember some of your stories and I remember now sort of that whole idea. And I'm not going to use the word rebel because that's not what you're doing. You're sort of governing yourself and always governed yourself. And because of that, and because you are confident enough in yourself, you don't feel the need to ask other people. And so what that reminds me of is my own challenges that I'm working through about not necessarily asking people. I'm certainly not that person either, but I think sometimes I care too much what people think. But I like the idea of not asking permission because I think you can use that same approach to not caring what others think. At least that's in my mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've never ever cared what people thought. And I will tell you, this is the older you get, the less you care. I could give two, I don't want to, curse, but every year it's even less and less. I don't know how now it's in a negative state. Like, I just don't give a care.
Yeah, no, I love that. So now we negative two. Yeah, I get it. Definitely, definitely. So if you're comfortable, so other than your business, right? And so we're going to definitely talk about your business and how that came about. Fantastic story, by the way. Share some of the big dreams that you've had that you actually turned into reality.
Oh, so travel. I've
Mm,
always wanted to travel. And so I'm excited to say I need to check the numbers, but I've been to like 23, 25 countries, and
mhm,
some of them multiple times. And so I love, love to travel. Give me
mhm.
a passport stamp. I'd rather have that than a Gucci purse and Louis Vuitton.
Yes.
Give me a
Yeah.
passport stamp.
Absolutely. I'm glad you put it that way because that's the way I look at it as well. I tell people for me, it's the experiences that matter the most. And that's a very good way of put it. Give me the passport stamp instead of the Louis, right? Because the Louis is there for a little bit. After a while, it loses its shine. But that experience that you had, in, Oaxaca, Mexico, where you dined with so and so with your feet. I mean, you can't replace that. I mean, it's just so awesome. Yeah, so we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about that. Why don't we do that now? Tell me some of your favorite destinations. What are the countries that you were like, I'm coming back? This ain't going to be no one and done. Talk to me about some of those countries.
Dubai. I've been to Dubai like 4 or 5 times, and
Hmm.
I was going to move there.
Yeah,
And let me tell you why I don't live there to this day. And
yeah.
this is before everybody started going. This is
Hmm.
probably about 2017, 18, 19. I'm thinking about
Hmm.
that time frame.
Hmm.
And I shared it with too many people.
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
Shared it. I wasn't asking for permission, but some people that were really close to me
Hmm.
start chipping. Well, what
Hmm.
if somebody in your family gets sick? How are you going to get back? And I'm like, well, a flight. Like I got there. But then they're like, but it's such a long flight and it's expensive. Da, da, da. And then what if something else happened? Like they just over time
Yeah,
chip, chip. And
yeah,
before you know it, I'm still in the US. And
yeah.
so that was probably one of the very few times where I shared things in advance. And I was like, never, ever, ever again. Never.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
Again.
that's interesting. So Dubai, and I've heard wonderful things about Dubai. Dubai, I haven't been there. Any other country that you've been to more than once, you were like, yeah, I'm liking this. I can come back and any other country.
I love London. I wanted to
Hmm.
move to London. My husband's like, no,
Yeah,
you don't. You just really, really like it. And so
yeah.
what we do is we make ourselves have layovers in London when we're going to the Middle East or other countries. I love
Hmm.
Bali. When we were in
Yeah.
Bali, my husband looked at me and he was like, this is when I was still in corporate. He was like,
Hmm.
I don't have to go back. You're the one that has to go back. And we would look at Bali to move, but it is to get back and forth to the US. It is just extremely long. If you
Yeah.
live on the West Coast, it would be better. So
Yeah.
those are some of the countries I like. I went to Portugal. I was
Hmm.
of course, in Rachel's mastermind, and our
Yeah.
first trip was in Portugal. It was
Yeah.
never on my list. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
were there. Amazing. So those are just some of the countries. Of course, I like a good island as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So she's talking about Rachel Rogers, guys, and she is in the mastermind. I was in the mastermind as well. I didn't get to go to that Portugal trip, but part of the reason is because I had just gotten back from Portugal like two months before then, and I was there the year before. So it was one of the countries that I visited twice, but I'm nowhere near 23 countries, but I'm working on it.
Goes.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So sometimes the two can be different. So I'm going to ask this question: where are you from, and where do you call home?
Interesting. So I'm from St. Louis, and
Hmm.
I love to say I'm from the Show Me State because when somebody tells me something, I'm like, you got to show me. Like
Yeah.
literally, I just got off a coaching call, and I
Hmm.
was like, I'll wait. And I was like, we can either wait on the call till you finish your application, your PMP application, or you can send me a screenshot. And
Yeah.
start typing like, oh, this girl is serious. I'm dead serious.
So one of the things that you guys will probably realize about Tamara, and that's one of the things I noticed about her, she's fun, she's friendly, but she is on point. She sticks to like if she I guess what the point I make is I could see where there's a firmness because that firmness is driven by, maybe your desire to, not just get things done because that sounds kind of empty, but
Yeah.
there's something there and I don't know if we'll be able to, kind of tap into that, but I do like that you're so fun and open, but also there's a cap. There's a point where you're like, I know what is right for me, what's right for, whatever it is. You're very clear about what you want, and that's awesome.
And I wanted her to succeed. I want her to succeed, and she's
Mhm.
procrastinating. And
Yeah.
so I had her on Zoom and
Mhm.
she had a question, so she was sharing her screen, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Good, got her. I'll just sit back and wait till she finishes." So that is me in a nutshell. But to answer the question, I live in Atlanta. I've been in
Uh-huh.
Atlanta for like 20 something years. So I'm
Mhm.
from St. Louis, but I call Atlanta home.
Okay, excellent. Awesome. So, what would you say is, one of your best childhood experiences?
Ooh, I would have to say travel.
Yeah,
Um,
I love it.
and I'm not saying we
Everything's
travel.
come back to travel, y'all. That's all right. I love it.
And it wasn't a lot of travel or extensive travel. I don't want
Yeah.
people to think, oh, she had a
Hmm.
spoon in her mouth. But when
Hmm.
I do hear people, we did travel in the summertime. And
Hmm.
my mom's from Chicago. So every summer we went to Chicago, every
Hmm.
Christmas break, everybody's birthday. And I got teased a lot. And my maiden name is Randolph. So
Hmm.
people used to make up a song, Tammy Randolph to Chicago. That's how
Hmm.
much I was in Chicago.
Oh, Randolph to Chicago. I love it. Yeah.
And so just the skyscrapers, we always went to museums. My mom
Yeah.
took me to DC. I remember
Mhm.
going to the museums there, seeing the Hope Diamond, just different experiences coming to Atlanta, traveling. And so we didn't travel international, but she did
Yeah.
take us a lot of places and make sure we had an experience as far as
Yeah.
where it could take us. And so
Hmm.
I've always had that bug. And she traveled. She went to Hawaii, she went to other places. She didn't necessarily take us, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had that bug, like I want to go, I want to travel.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. And it's what that store reminds me of. I know I've seen a number of books. Maybe it was the Green Book, maybe just different stories of people who moved to different parts of the country, but they would always either go back to Chicago or Detroit or something over the summer because of that connection, that family connection. So I just immediately had images of in my mind of the black families that would go visit cousin so and so in the city. So thanks for kind of taking me down memory lane a little bit. And so one of the things I saw on your company's website, and we're going to still, guys, we're definitely going to talk about her company, was a quote that really stuck with me when I saw it. It was from Dr. Maya Angelou, and it's when you learn, teach, when you get, give. So
Yes.
there's a reason why you actually took the time to put that quote on your website, right? Tell me why that resonated with you.
Because I'm where I am today because of mentors. I've had
Mhm.
mentors my entire life.
Yeah.
Even my mom is an AKA, so I
Mhm.
am legacy, but my
Mhm.
mom's line sisters taught me how to negotiate. Another
Mhm.
one, I knew that I want to travel international because of her. And so I've always had this mentorship. And then when I started my corporate career, I've had amazing mentors and sponsors. And so
Mhm.
that's why I am where I am today because of other people. And you
Mhm.
have to pay it forward. It's just, you have to, just the end. You have to.
Mhm.
You have to.
Yeah. So I'm glad you say that. So I'm going to briefly touch a little bit on something that I think I undervalued. I'm one of those people that used to keep her head down, got the work done, highly, highly efficient, highly competent, but did not place enough value on relationships. Definitely had great relationships and you know cared for and the relationships that I had, but I didn't have mentors. I didn't have sponsors. And I think about just how much further I would have been. I think I've been okay, but how much farther I would have been actually had I understood the value of getting a mentor. Now, thankfully, I have been approached to be a mentor and I am a mentor, but I just don't think I really understood those values and, the relationship building. And so I'm glad you pointed that out. Anything else you want to add about that?
I do. So early in my career, when companies are laying off, I remember making it through so many rounds of layoffs. And
Mm,
and I was just like, why am I not getting picked? So once
mhm.
again, I'm different because
Yeah.
I was exhausted and I was in management. So I'm like, I'm not gonna resign or quit. I am
Mhm.
going to get this package.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But they thought they were doing me a favor by saving me from getting layoffs. Of course it was initially, but after
Mhm.
a while, what happens with the people that are still there? All the extra work is piled
Some
on.
of them. Yeah.
And so I just really, really owe those relationships, me getting moved over here, me suddenly getting appointed to this position. Oh, and I just said some gems, appointed.
Hmm.
So many times in my career, I have not had to interview internally. I get
Wow.
Yeah, that's a new thing that people are doing. I'm like, really? Like
Mhm.
I just get appointed normally in my
Mm.
positions because of those relationships. They know my worth, they know my value, and it's
Yeah.
time to go to the next level.
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful. So, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about your business. So, one of my questions was, what made you decide to start a PMI authorized academy, your business? But tell me a little bit about your, sort of like how your business came into being, right? Would love for you to share that with the audience.
Total accident. I did not set out to start a business. I was
Mhm.
actually against it.
Yeah.
The thing, I was teaching the boot camps at PMI Atlanta, and
Hmm.
it's free, it's volunteer. I don't get paid for that. And it was
Yeah.
like 12 weeks, 1 or 2 nights a week, and I was doing that. And my
Hmm.
husband was like, Tamara, you have 25 people.
Yeah.
I want you to do some basic math,
Yes.
some real basic low math,
Yeah.
and see how much money that is. And
Yeah.
people are being really successful passing. And then you're
Yeah.
also coaching on the side. So I was coaching people on the side.
Mhm.
I would tell the tech people, okay, meet me at Starbucks. And then I would
Yeah.
non-tech people, meet me at Barnes and Noble. And then meet
Yeah.
me at the coffee shop. Girl, people were getting raises and promotions.
Oh.
And then they were referring their other friends.
Hmm.
And it just got to a point I had to charge to start weeding people out.
Yes. God. Interesting. Wow. Okay.
And then at one point, I told people, stop, just stop. And then I was
Hmm.
like, I need to wrap my brain around what this is. And
Yeah.
I went and got a coaching certification.
Hmm.
And they were like, you don't need all these certifications. You're already doing it. People getting results, you have past performance, then go
Yeah.
ahead. Fast
Mm-hmm.
forward, I worked at Delta Airlines as a consultant,
Hmm.
and my contract company made me an on-site consultant coach.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay.
what is that?
I
And
know.
they were like, we heard you were doing it. So I'm still doing that at corporate. And so
Mm.
when people didn't know how to navigate, Delta has 80,000, 100,000 employees. You
Yeah.
have to have the entrepreneur spirit, whether you're
Yeah.
a full-time employee or a contractor. And
Hmm.
have been coaching people.
Hmm.
And my contract company gave me a couple people a month, and I would
Hmm.
have coffee, lunch with them and help them navigate that. Understand
Yeah.
if your project's going to be cut, how you have to be proactive, how you
Yeah.
have to do XYZ. You need this certification. And it got to a point where I just got so busy when they didn't renew my contract. I was like, thank God. And I
Mm.
had a company. Voila, I
Yeah.
had a company.
Wow, that's interesting. So because when I read your bio and I've been looking into, I was like, okay, so exactly what is a career development coach? How does she do that? So you just provided me some insight into that. So basically, you would use your experience working in different organizations and your knowledge of their specialty or the specialty of their department to help them navigate the internal workings of the organization to one, avoid being laid off, it sounds like, or maybe transition into a different department. Am I on the right track?
Absolutely, absolutely. In addition to that, I forgot that was my first corporate boot camp as well. My
Mm,
first corporate boot camp was at Delta Airlines.
okay, okay.
And let me tell you, I still was against it. I was still like, no, no, I'll just help you guys out. No, I'll do this lunch and learn. So I did a lunch and learn for them. And they're like, we want you to teach it. I was like, oh,
Mm.
absolutely not. I am too
I
busy.
thought you were resisting.
I was resisting because I am one of those few people that likes corporate.
Yeah.
When I taught that first boot camp, and it
Hmm.
was co-workers, it was engineers, GMs, general managers, and I could start seeing the difference in their work. They were
Yeah.
getting their PMP, some were getting
Yeah.
promoted. I was like, oh, this is it. Okay,
Yeah.
I got to do more of this. This is it.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
it.
It's so interesting you say that. So I remember many years ago, many meaning like maybe 15 years ago, I remember looking into a PMP, not necessarily for me, but I was doing it for some projects. And I was like, what is the certification that people are paying 3 grand for back then? I think it was 3, 4 grand. And then I read about it and I was like, sounds interesting. I don't think I need it for my career. But I know a person who has her a PMP. And one of the interesting things about getting that PMP certification is the salary will increase if you place it will increase. So, what would you say has been your proudest moment? You've been doing this sort of, pro bono initially, right? And then you were like, like you took your husband's advice, was like, I need to go ahead and calculate what this looked like. And so what would you say is your proudest moment? It could be a client, it could be a recognition. I'd love to learn that.
My clients, my clients, my clients, my clients, the
Yeah.
raises, promotions that they're getting.
Yeah.
So right now we're recording this in December. I had a client that just finished the November boot camp. She
Yeah.
got her PMP. She has graduated to the mastermind, so she's getting coaching with me.
Yeah.
And she was making 55,000 a year.
Yeah.
Wanted 85. I was like, where'd you get that number from? Where?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they made her offer on yesterday, 96,000.
Oh, wow. Wow.
55 to 96.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yep. That
This
sounds,
is normal in my camp. I'm telling you, I've had 50, $60,000 increases, and
yeah.
these are Black women. I do have
Yes.
other women in my boot camp and a couple good men,
Yeah.
but it's just you can change a whole household with 50 or sixty
Yes.
thousand dollars.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm glad now I'm connecting the dot between your advocacy. Your business is tied to your advocacy. You want to see Black women, other women, of course, but also, definitely Black women, since that's who you are, elevate, increase their salaries, get paid what they're worth, right? And interestingly, they have to the interesting thing is they always talk about how overskilled we are as Black women. We have all the degrees and all the initials in order to be able to get to some kind of parity. Isn't that
Yeah.
something? But if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do it. And I'm sure your clients are very, very happy that you're there and you're in their corner. So for those of you who are listening and you'd like to learn more about Tamara or her business, Project Business Academy, visit projectbusinessacademy.com. You can also follow her on Instagram at Tamara Joyful. We're going to dig into that too, y'all. We're going to find out about that handle because I really, really liked it. But then I definitely saw the connection after I started thinking about Tamara and the energy that she brings. Are you a consultant or coach who spends too much time trying to find the right tools or the right systems for your business? If you're like I was early in my consulting business, I spent a lot of time researching which project management tool I should use, which CRM system, which website building and hosting company, which accounting software, and what other tools are best for my business. I also spent time creating email templates and even contract templates for clients and vendors. Chances are you've either done the same or you're doing the same. My name is Patrice Davis, and I'm the CEO of a consulting firm, Grantsworth. I'm also the owner of Ready, Set, Go Consult, a consulting business accelerator. I'm also the host of the Age Has No Limit podcast. I'm here to tell you about the Ultimate Consultants and Freelancers Starter Kit. The kit is a curated list of tools of the trade, templates, and other resources you'll need to run your business. It even includes the six-figure proposal template that I've used to win 5 and 6-figure engagements. There's also a fluff-free summary of what it takes to build and grow your consulting or coaching business. Here's the thing. On average, consultants, freelancers, and other independent service providers work up to 65 hours per week. I created the kit myself because I know it can help you save time. Save time from hours of research and trial and error. It's what I would have wanted when I started my consulting business in 2020. Here's another thing. You can't grow a successful consulting business when your foundation isn't stable and when your delivery and systems are chaotic and outdated. Click the link below to learn more about the starter kit or visit readysetgoconsult.com/starter kit. You'll be happy you did. As a reminder, if you're listening to us on your favorite streaming platform, download this and any of our past episodes so you can listen on the go. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Now back to the podcast. So you wrote that you believe everyone is a project manager. Why do you believe that?
They are. Everybody's managing a project from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Everybody has money come through their hands. Everybody manages their time. That's a
Yeah.
project.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
degree to which you do the projects, that varies. But on our job, even if you're in operations, those other duties assigned, those
Yeah.
special initiatives. We're
Yeah.
in our civic life, sorority, nonprofit,
Yeah.
there's projects when you do the fundraisers. And so when you can manage that more effectively and efficiently, you're a
Yeah.
project manager. So I am I don't even know who can say they're not project managers. Let me tell you, Patrice, I went to the Xavier University of New Orleans.
Yes.
A lot of my friends are doctors and pharmacists.
Yes.
They are getting their PMPs now.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. That's
It,
interesting. That's all. That's very, yeah. I would love to learn how it's applied. That's going to be my follow-up question, but go right ahead.
so here's the thing. If they want to stop practicing, which a lot of them do, they've
Yeah.
done their 20 something years of practicing, they
Yeah.
move up into administration, they
Yeah.
have to be more strategic. And
Yes.
so now you're understanding. You have to
Yeah.
be able to manage multi-million dollar, billion-dollar budgets.
Yes.
Have to know how to integrate quality risk, things that they knew about, but now it's on a more strategic level. And
Yeah.
now they're telling doctors and pharmacists, you have to either go back to school and get a MBA, which they
Yeah.
already have a MD
Yeah.
or RMD, or they can spend time with me and get a
Mm.
PMP certification in 30 days or less.
Oh, wow. 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 Yeah. I mean, after I met you, I was really kind of thinking about that PMP. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I was really thinking about it. I was like, you never know. You might see my name on one of your rosters. So, you also wrote, and I remember seeing somewhere, I think it was one of your talks in Dubai, that, there is the accidental project manager. And I'm thinking that's maybe someone that becomes, a manager of a special project. How do you define an accidental project manager?
So most of us are. I'm
Yeah.
an external project manager.
Yeah.
I have a communications degree. I wanted to be a journalist, a sports
Yeah.
journalist at that. And so right now you can go to school for project management, but that's something that's new.
Yeah.
So most people that are in project managers or accidental project managers, meaning they learn their way up, they get promoted and they're like, what is this? Let me put something around it. So
Mm-hmm.
people always want the title. I need the title. You don't have to have the title. I
Mm-hmm.
was just, like I said, working with somebody. She's a black belt in Lean Six Sigma. That's quality. She was
Mm-hmm.
a major, major multi-billion dollar manufacturing company. That girl's a project manager. She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have the title, but she has the lean title, the agile title.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's a project manager. I have people in education, teachers,
Yeah. Yeah.
principals. They're managing school systems. They're managing curriculum. They are project managers.
That's a great point. That is an excellent point. You don't think about that. And I'm glad you kind of made it that clear. If you are in any position, it sounds like benefits from a PMP certification, every position.
Every
My role as a CEO, even if there is a team, there's still ways that you could, and I'm sure you know better than I do, being both a business owner and an instructor, and obviously someone who has many, many years of experience of doing it and different ways that it can be applied. So yeah, I had never thought about that. So I'm glad that you kind of made it very clear. Um, so it's well known though that once someone is certified and they get that PMP, that they can command, compensation that they didn't think was possible. And you
Yep.
gave that wonderful example of the person who went from 55 to $41,000 more, $96,000. Tell me what it is about that PMP. What's the currency, PMP currency, that makes employers say, yes, I'm going to pay you almost twice what you were getting paid before?
Because you have all the skills to manage a
Mm-hmm.
project in IT,
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure, construction, just a wide variety. Because when she was interviewing, when I was prepping her, she really wanted to know what type of projects. I kept telling her it doesn't matter. She
Mm-hmm.
asked the panel the same thing. It does not matter. That's why I'm able to go from telecom to the federal government. I've done hospitals, meaning the VA hospitals when I worked for the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Delta Airlines hired me, get this,
Mm-hmm.
because I did not have airline experience.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so here's the thing, a lot of people don't understand that sometimes people that have been at the job 20, 30 years, you need fresh eyes.
Absolutely.
And when I asked the recruiter, I did ask the recruiter, I'm not a dummy. Why did
Yeah.
you select me?
Yeah.
And it was like, because you don't have airline experience. That's what I thought, but I wanted to verify that. So
Yeah.
what that tells them is I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I know how
Yeah.
to manage projects, but I don't have any of this corporate baggage, any
Yeah.
preconceived notions. We're just
Mm-hmm.
going to implement from beginning to end whatever project you give me. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what we did.
And you know what? I'm so glad you brought that up. They also likely hired you because you're going to function as a disruptor because you don't have that comfort of being in that industry, right? So that just by the fact that you don't have that experience, you're going to disrupt. You're going to, like you said, ask the questions, and that will help expose, right, things that probably have been kind of settled and covered up for a long time. So that's an excellent point. So tell us about what we need to know about the quarterly PMP exam certification boot camp. When's the next session? What is it? Is it class first and then coaching through the boot camp? I'll let you explain it.
So it's a one-stop shop. So
Mhm,
once you register, I do the classes quarterly. The next one is coming up mid-January,
mhm,
if you're hearing this, but it is quarterly.
mhm,
And I help with the application. And
mhm.
that, guess what? The secret there is I get to know you.
Yes.
So I get to know you. I get to know what type of projects. For instance, I've had so many people from Delta Airlines, Verizon,
Mhm,
Kimberly Clark is another big
mhm,
client that I get a lot of their people.
mhm.
Everybody at the organizations do something different. So
Yeah.
I have to know what they do to make
Mhm,
sure my examples are going to hit them in the class.
mhm.
See where I'm going with this. In
Yeah.
addition, once I get to know them and what projects, that helps me when we're interviewing if I move on to coach them as well. Because the
Mm,
person that just did her application, I'm like, girl, she got
mhm,
numbers. I have reduced this. I have increased this. I was like,
mhm.
oh, this is your new resume. You
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
me, I'm like, it is
Yeah.
because our project management resumes look different. Okay,
Mm.
let me get back on track. That is not the question you asked me.
No, no,
So
no. Actually, now I have a question about that, but please go right ahead. I'd never thought about that. A project management resume. Yeah, we definitely want to hear about
it's
that.
different because it's not operational. It is like
Mm,
they need to see what have you done. So
hmm.
show me state. I'm from the show me state from
Yeah.
Missouri. You have
Yeah.
to show them I've implemented XYZ. So it
Yeah.
can be very general or generic like a normal resume.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's a mind shift. So in the boot camp, we're talking the language. You
Mm-hmm.
get to see I'm actually doing this, but we're calling it something different. Now you're
Hmm.
in the language. And
Yeah.
of course, you're going to pass within 2 weeks. My boot camp is 2 weeks in the evening.
Hmm.
Also go over the question, the drills. So we get up on Saturday morning, get our
Hmm.
coffee and our tea, and we actually go over the questions.
Mm.
Because you can know this information and not be successful because of the questions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? One of the things I remember from the retreat was how strategic you were. There was a certain business process. You don't have to repeat it, but I remember you were saying, once I'm able to do this, and I'm. Bottom line is the point. It sounds like as a result of having the PMP, and it may even be the way you operate normally. You seem like a very strategic person in general. That I remember admiring the way that you were able to use some basic information captured on the front end and able to replicate it and use it for other purposes. You may not remember the example you provided, but it was me understanding, oh, I like the way she thinks. And that's
Okay.
probably from that PMP, right? I'm assuming. I don't know.
Probably because you have to be extremely proactive as a
Yeah.
project manager. You
Yeah.
have to be able to see it before it comes. And
Yeah.
I do 3 to 4 steps before. Other
Yeah.
than that, you can get in trouble, with budget, schedule, quality, those things. But
Yeah.
when you've been doing this enough, one little thing you'd be like, we're gonna nip this in
Mhm.
the bud, we're gonna mitigate this risk. And so I guess I do think just I mean, it's normal to me, but ask my husband and my friends, they will tell you, they can see it in my eyes. They'll be like, don't project manage me. Don't do it.
That is, I can imagine. Yes. Yes. Oh. It's funny. I can see it in your eyes. So now we're going to shift to talk about Tamara, the woman, the speaker, and the advocate for higher earnings for Black women. So you've
Yes.
led talks in different countries, including India and Dubai. Every experience leaves a mark. Some are indelible, some are pronounced, right? What was your biggest takeaway from your talk in India, and then your biggest takeaway from your talk in Dubai?
That everybody, every nationality is going through the same thing.
Mm, mm-hmm,
India, Dubai was a little smaller group, and I had been there a couple of times. I was more comfortable.
mm-hmm,
India, a whole new ball game. I love the Indian culture. I work in tech, work with a
mm-hmm,
lot of Indian people, but this was my
mm-hmm.
first time there. When
Yeah,
I tell you the ladies from all over the world were there
yeah,
saying that they were going through the same thing, I just could
mm-hmm,
not believe it. It was
mm-hmm,
overwhelming, not
mm-hmm.
in a good way, because
Yeah,
you don't want other women to go through what we're going through in the US with
Yeah.
the age gap and the way we're treated. We you know it, but to hear these women say that they experienced the exact same thing, it was
Hmm.
heartbreaking, but at the same time, it made me want to do more and
Yeah.
make me global to help more women.
Yeah, it's probably more pronounced in some other countries too. I mean, in the US it's pretty pronounced, but in other countries even more so probably. Some other countries.
It is. And I knew that, but to be there and experience it is
Yeah.
because I work with an international population here in the US. And
Yeah.
I say, like, for my Indian women that are working for me, they have a whole cultural bias against them within
Yeah.
the community. So I
Yeah.
won't get into it too much, but
Hmm.
I have when I'm on corporate organizations, I have to talk to them separate. It's a lot of coaching that I have to do with them as well. And so, like
Mm.
I said, when I was in India, oh yeah, they have a lot of pressure put on them. Let me just say that.
Mm.
In
Okay.
their culture, they want to be a BA is no
Hmm.
good. They want
Yeah.
them to be the architect, the developer, the doctor, the
Yeah.
lawyer. You to be just one little notch. I'm not even gonna say below because that's how
Yeah.
they're doing it. They're
Yeah.
viewing it as less than when it's not.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a whole separate coaching that I would have to do in corporate. And so
Hmm.
be in India and see women from all over the world experiences like mind
Yeah.
blowing.
Yeah.
Mind.
Yeah. So that reminds me as well. So this is, as I'm listening, I'm like, yeah, I can definitely identify. I remember when I was raising my daughters, and it was around the time they were small, around the time when the Afghanistan war was, sort of starting. And I remember trying to get them to understand that we're here in the States. There are Afghan women who can't go to school. I need you to understand that our lives are connected in some way, right? And so to always try to understand that we're all as women, we have to really make sure, not necessarily watch out for each other. Absolutely, we should in that regard, but just also understand that there are people who, just because of their anatomy, can't go to school, and I just wanted to make sure that they understood that as much as their little children's minds were able to do that. I think I also shared that with my son as well, because, we don't want him making assumptions. But yeah, so that just reminds me of one of the last times I really felt connected to some just some of the challenges that women face in other parts of the world and here as well. So
Here
always
as
want
well.
to,
And,
yeah.
and I live in, Atlanta is a melting pot. And the
Mm-hmm.
building I used to live in, my neighbors, Mercedes-Benz had just moved their headquarters. So my
Mm-hmm.
next door neighbor was from Germany. My other one was from Turkey, and they were having
Mm-hmm.
civil war. So just understanding what other women and other nationalities are going through in
Yeah.
corporate. And it's the same. Unfortunately, it's the same. So we got to eradicate this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I shared at the top of the recording that we met at a stunning and life-changing author retreat in Puerto Rico earlier this year, 2024. And so why do you think being an author is the next move for you? And are you open to share where you are in the process?
Okay, here's the thing. I have been asked to be an author before
Yes.
several times. I even started writing a book, but I did not see the need or the purpose. And if I don't, I just can't do it. And
Mm-hmm.
the one of the books was actually being edited, and I was just like, I just can't do it. Who's
Mm.
why, who, what? And the
Mm-hmm.
person, the editor, she was so intrigued, and it was just it was irking me. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
Um, Now I see the value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I see the value because now I realize I knew I had something special, but now I realize I need to share it with the world.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I
that's
like.
the difference. When I started it, I was in corporate. And
Yeah.
so I had the corporate mindset. So now
Yeah.
I have a whole different mindset, and more
Yeah.
women need it in corporate, in their entrepreneurship, wherever they're at, they need it. And guess what? It's not just for women. This book is for everybody. And it is
Absolutely.
called Done, Getting It Done. So this project
Yeah.
management, it's like project management for newbies, for accidental
Yeah.
project managers. That's who it's
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. So y'all, I was in the room when she came up with the idea. I was in the room, and I didn't want to say it. I remember the title, but I wanted to see if that
Yeah.
is still indeed the title.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're moving along with that same concept. because it sounds like it's a a personal drive, but also of course very tied to your expertise. So that's always awesome. So I also shared that you were friendly, approachable, and fun. And now I realize, as I was preparing for this episode, that your IG handle is Tamara Joyful. So what keeps you joyful and happy in a rapidly changing world that's sometimes scary?
So, believe it or not, I thrive in change.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's weird, but I like for things to change. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm super excited at the new things that are coming up in my business. We have some new
Mm-hmm.
offerings to help even more women.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part I'm excited about. So I know that's a very watered down version, but
Mm-hmm.
it does
Mm-hmm.
excite me, the
Yeah.
unknown. I
Yeah.
just it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's probably part of the reason why you like travel too,
Yes.
right? At least for me, that's one of the reasons I like to travel because I read a quote. When I first started recording the episode, I used to end every episode with a quote, and I believe this particular quote was from J.D. Salinger, the person who wrote Fahrenheit. I always mix it up now with the actual with Michael Moore's documentary, but Fahrenheit, is it 511? I keep forgetting what the actual book title is, but basically he said that the joy, it's the actual being lost is what makes it so fun, right? The idea of being lost, but knowing you're safe and you're secure, but it's the idea of wandering and wondering at the same time, something like that, right?
That was almost the name of my company.
Really?
Yes,
Well,
originally, because
yeah,
now that you're saying that, because growing up, I read a lot, and that's why I wanted to travel to those locations.
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's part of the reason why I like to travel too. Mine, I don't know what it is, what was my spark, but I've always said I want to go to six of the seven continents. I want to go to six of the seven continents. And I got a little bit way to go. Actually, I've been to Africa, I've been to Europe, haven't been to Asia yet, but that's next year. Haven't been to South America yet. So yeah, I got some time. I got some way. I got some way to go. So again, if you'd like to learn more about Tamara or her business, Project Business Academy, visit projectbusinessacademy.com and follow her on Instagram at Tamara Joyful. And on her website, you can learn about that boot camp that's coming up in January. I'm actually thinking about it myself because I'm really competent, good at doing the things that I need to do. I'm really good at executing. The thing I'm not that great at is planning ahead. I can plan ahead, but I feel like I don't do it in a way that's consistent and strategic. And so I really feel like having a PMP could be that thing that takes me to the next level.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, just a thought for me. So how do you think that aging has made you better? And whatever better means to you, your definition of better.
I don't know if you could get more comfortable in your skin, but every year I'm just getting more and more and more comfortable. And
Yeah.
like I said before, I could give two shits about
Uh-huh.
what people think. I've always been that way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's even heightened. Like I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I have to be happy.
Yeah.
And then even the rules that I have for myself, like I'll tell you when I just was telling my niece, I told her I feel a little shame at how many
Mm-hmm.
times I've ordered Uber Eats,
Yeah.
this week alone. When
Yeah.
before I was like, you guys need to stop ordering Uber Eats. If you're gonna do it, you need to do it. Order lobster, order, some
Yeah.
good food. Well, I just ordered Chick-fil-A or Mexican food, but guess
Yeah.
what? I changed my mind and my perspective, and that is okay.
Yes, absolutely. 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 Yeah, I had my little Uber Eats last night. Yeah. I did. And I'm going to dial it for it to bring something for me today as well. So I definitely understand. So funny because a couple of years ago, the thought of someone bringing your meal in a paper bag that's stapled shut and leaving it at the door on the floor sometimes would have never occurred to us. But
Never. But
it's awesome.
now I'm so okay. And it's so funny. Sometimes my husband want to treat me. He's like, oh, you look so busy. You
Uh-huh.
can just use my car. Uber Eats on me. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
thank you, sweetie. And I'll just flash the car. It's
You know,
already in my account.
I, I know, right? It's one of the options, the paying options, the payment
Yes.
options. Yes.
So
Awesome.
it
Awesome.
went from going to the Four Seasons or somewhere to him order me Uber Eats. It is
Yeah.
what it is. That's what I
You,
need now.
Yes, yeah, that's interesting. Really? So sometimes if you're at the Four Seasons, that is so cool. That is interesting.
Saying like for us going to dinner there
Yeah,
to now, it's just being the simplicity. I
yeah,
need to eat good food.
yes, yep,
It needs to be hot. I need it here at this time, this window between
yeah,
my breaks, the
yeah.
end. That
That's
those are
it.
my requirements. Those are
Yeah,
my requirements.
yeah, yeah. That makes so much sense. Rather than putting on some clothes,
I'm out. I'm out. You got to put on clothes.
exactly. I know.
I'm
Going
out.
downstairs, getting a table, yeah, definitely understand. And how much time that you're able to save as a result of doing that. So we have two more questions. What
Okay.
does an age has no limit life look like to you? Or what does it mean to you?
It means the soft life. So I
Mm,
was, yeah, in my mastermind, I was trying to describe what I wanted, and somebody was like, that's the soft life. I was like, that's right. That is
mm,
what yes, that's what
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
soft
yeah,
life. And I just wanted to be even cushier and
yeah,
cushier and
yeah.
cushier. Yeah.
So define the soft life for some folks who may not know what it is. So in my mind, it's not just luxury. It's, living a life of contentment based on, and I'm gonna let you describe it.
No, I like where you're going. Like
Yeah.
literally, like during the summer, I don't work every month in the summer. I want to do
Hmm.
more of that. I
Yeah,
want to do more of
absolutely.
that. I want to work only a certain amount of time a year. I want to
Yeah.
see my clients, but I want to be on the beach just writing another book, reading books. That's what I
Yeah.
want to do. And to get
Yes.
my family with me. So I was
Yeah.
before we hit record, me and my girlfriends went to Jamaica and we stayed in
Hmm.
an amazing villa. And it was a group of villas. There's a travel company, well-known travel company, and their
Hmm.
family owns all this land. And we stayed in one
Hmm.
of the villas. We had a
Hmm.
staff of 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
all day, every day. When
Yeah.
we came back home, we were texting on the group chat. Nobody's coming. I'm like, I don't smell coffee. Like this is horrible. Like, where are the people?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I know. Yep.
I
I
gotta
know.
get that. I gotta get that. Once you have a taste of that, I've
Yeah.
had it before, but this was even on another level. I
Yeah.
mean, I need this. You ask for nothing. It just appears. They know you're
Oh,
food and they know you're hungry. They know you need a beef patty and
yeah.
another cocktail and a water and a bite.
Oh, I love
And they just scoot it to you. You have not
it.
asked for nothing. You're in such deep conversation and relaxation with
Yeah.
your girlfriends. They know you need this.
Yes. Oh, that is so awesome. That no, just even the thought of that right now. For real. Yes, 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 yes. And so tell us one more time where the audience can find you, where they can find out information about your boot camp.
Yes. So if you want to
Hmm.
find out more information about me, I have
Yeah.
a new improved website for
Mhm.
newbies and
Yeah.
people that want more information.
Hmm.
Listen closely. It is iwantmypmp.com.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm going to say that again. iwantmypmp.com. We
Yeah.
have all kind of free stuff. We're going to have your podcast on there. We have a
Hmm.
quiz where they can take some questions to
Yeah.
find out, oh, I am a project manager. I'm doing project management. We
Yeah.
have a low cost introduction course with
Yeah.
project management fundamentals so you can
Hmm.
start to learn the terms and things. We have
Hmm.
my calendar where you can set up a free consultation. I am
Yeah.
one of the few people that still meet with people for free because I don't
Yeah.
want a barrier because you have questions to be a
Yeah.
barrier for you getting this
Yeah.
PM. I can't have that. So
Yeah.
my consultations are still free.
Yeah. And the wonderful thing about those consultations that you charge, that's currently complimentary and probably will continue to be is that you get an idea of any change in needs and, you also get information as well. So, guys, if you're interested in getting that PMP, it's been on your mind, definitely reach out to Tamara and go visit iwantmypmp.com
Yeah.
for some of the introductory, if you're a newbie, definitely can go visit and check that out. You can also find her on Instagram at Tamara Joyful and of course projectbusinessacademy.com. So she's
Yes.
she's available in multiple places.
And LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really my jam. So LinkedIn,
Yes.
is where all my videos, and I
Mhm.
hang out every day on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, yes. And I know y'all because I follow her on LinkedIn. So, well, thank you so much, Tamara. I enjoyed this. I knew I would. I knew I would. It's an awesome, awesome way to end the day. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for the work that you're doing, empowering women to be able to get that bag. And again, just keep doing you because you're gonna do it anyway. All right.
Thank you for having me. I am so glad that we finally made this happen. It was
Yes.
supposed to happen when it did happen. I'm so excited to share this with your audience.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you guys for Tamara. She is yet another example that I try to bring to you every week. A person who's living a no limit life, who's not letting age slow them down, not even considering age as, a barrier in any way. That's why we have her here. That's why we're doing the podcast. Thanks again to Tamara for being yet another example that age has no limits. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Age Has No Limit podcast. Except for when we take quarterly breaks, we release a new episode each week featuring people who decided to live a no limit life, or featuring tips or lessons learned from me as I create my own no limit life. By the way, don't forget to subscribe. I look forward to sharing our next episode with you. Just remember, age has no limit.